Good evening, one and all. I welcome you all to Ganesh IAS Academy. In today's session, we'll be seeing science and technology based current affairs from the date August 21st to August 31, 2023. Let us get into the news articles one by one. The first news that we are going to discuss is Agniban suborbital technological demonstrator. What is it? What is this Agniban suborbital technological demonstrator? It is actually a rocket. Okay, so who has developed this rocket and all those details we must have to understand. What are its features and characteristics? Those details we must have to know. Let us get into the details. Recently, Agnikul Cosmos. Agnikul Cosmos. What is this Agnikul Cosmos? It is a space tech startup which is based in Chennai. It has launched its technology demonstrator called Agniban Suborbiter Technological Demonstrator, and this is unique because it is world's first 3D printed rocket into space. So it involves 3D printed rocket. So those details we need to understand. And this Agnikul Cosmos journey was supported by ISRO as well as Indian National Space Promotion and Authorization Center. Actually, this is a single window agency for all space related activities of private entities. Which one? This InSpace. Okay, Indian National Space Promotion and Authorization Center along with ISRO is supporting this initiative of this particular private entity called Agnikul Cosmos. Next, this Agniban sorted, that is the technological demonstrator, is a customizable launch vehicle, which means it operates in two stages. Okay, it can be operated with one stage or it can be operated with two stages, and it has an engine called as Agni-let engine. Agni-let engine, and this Agni-let engine is patented by this Agnikul Cosmos company. And this Agni-let engine is 3D printed engine with 6 kilonewton capacity. Okay, and it is a semi-cryogenic engine. Why is it semi-cryogenic? Because it involves liquid oxygen as oxidizer and kerosene as the fuel, and together liquid oxygen plus kerosene together will be acting as its propellant. Okay, so the oxidizer here is in cryogenic phase, whereas kerosene is not in cryogenic phase. That is why it is semi-cryogenic engine. Okay, these two together will be acting as its propellant. Next, this technology demonstrator, that is the rocket, will take off vertically and it will follow a predetermined trajectory, and thus it will be executing precisely the orchestrated maneuvers during its flight. Okay, so these are the important characteristics of this Agniban. And then it is capable of carrying a payload of up to 100 kilogram, and it will go to an altitude of up to 700 kilometer in 5 different configurations. Okay, it can have 5 different configurations, and then as we already saw, it is the first 3D printed rocket into space, okay, of the world. What is 3D printing? That we need to understand, because it is a 3D printed engine, a 3D printed rocket. We have to understand what is 3D printing. 3D printing is also called as additive manufacturing. Okay, so in this additive manufacturing, a computer aided design is used to convert plastic and metals into products. What products? Three-dimensional products. Three-dimensional items are produced using computer aided design. What is used here? Plastic and metals are used to convert it. So it is also called as additive manufacturing. Why is it called additive manufacturing? And what is the opposite of additive manufacturing? That is subtractive manufacturing. What is subtractive manufacturing? When you have a old metal or a chunk of plastic, and if you chip it out and cut it out and make an object, that is called as subtractive manufacturing. Whereas additive manufacturing means you're adding layer by layer. You're adding things, the metals and plastic layer by layer and forming a whole. Okay, so it is the reverse or the opposite of subtractive manufacturing. So this is the difference between the two, and this 3D printing finds various application. Traditionally it has been used for prototyping. Other than that, it also finds application in artificial limb production, stents, dental crowns, parts of automobiles and consumer goods are also produced using this technology, 3D printing technology. So this is it with this Agniban, and what is its main feature? It is the world's first 3D printed engine or 3D printed rocket. Okay. So moving on, the next topic for the day is Namo 108. What is this Namo 108? It is actually a variety of lotus. Okay. So what is its significance? Why is it named Namo? Those details we need to know. Union Minister for Science and Technology has unveiled the innovative Namo 108 lotus variety, and it was developed by CSIR, National Botanical Research Institute, which is based in Lucknow. And this lotus variety was found several years ago. Okay, and now it has been named as NBRI Namo because it has exactly 108 petals. So here this 108 is the number of petals, and this number 108 has a special significance in Hindu religion, and that is the reason why it has been named Namo. Okay, so the petal count and its religious significance is the reason for its name. Next, Union Minister also introduced clothing made out of this lotus fiber and also a perfume named Frotus, which is extracted from the lotus flower. So the perfume here is Frotus, and they have also introduced a clothing made of lotus fiber. So these details you need to know. What else do we have to understand in this topic? This blossoms, this lotus blossoms from March to December, and it is rich in nutrients. Other than that, this is the only Indian lotus variety with sequenced genome. Its genome has been sequenced completely, and this is the only Indian lotus variety with sequenced genome. Statements like these are very important from prelims point of view. And then this flower's characteristics were modified to facilitate cultivation outside Manipur. As of now, it is grown only in Manipur, and its cultivation outside Manipur is being encouraged by modifying its characteristics. Okay, so that is the flower which the minister is showing. Okay, so Namo 108 is a lotus variety. The next topic for the day is genetic editing in mustard. Okay, what is genetic editing? How is it different from genetic modification? These details we need to understand. And what is the significance of mustard seed in India? Those details must also be known. Okay, so let us understand it one by one. Genetic editing in mustard. Indian scientists have developed the first ever low pungent mustard. Actually, this mustard oil is known for its pungent smelling. Okay, it has this pungent smelling, and for the first time, scientists have developed low pungent mustard, and it is also pest and disease resistant. Okay, this is also important. We'll understand the significance of this particular point, that it is also disease and pest resistant. Okay, and it is based on CRISPR-Cas9 gene editing. We already saw that it is because of gene editing. So what is the tool, gene editing tool that we are going to use here? It is called as CRISPR-Cas9. What is this CRISPR-Cas9? We must have to understand this in greater detail in the upcoming slides, while being non-genetically modified and transgene free. So each and every term is important. Okay, we'll understand one by one. What is the significance of gene editing in mustard breeding? First thing is, traditional mustard seeds are grown in India, and it has 120 to 130 ppm parts per million of compounds called as glucosinolate. This is the important compound which we have to discuss here. What is this glucosinolate? It is actually a group of sulfur and nitrogen containing compounds, and it is the one which is contributing to this pungent smell of this mustard. Generally, mustard oil is pungent smelling, and that that pungent smell is because of this glucosinolate. Okay, because it is in higher amount, that is 120 to 130 parts per million. Okay. Now they are saying that they have produced low pungent mustard, which means the amount of glucosinolates has been reduced. How have they reduced it? Using gene editing tool. That is the topic actually. How have they done this? We have to understand in detail. And these compounds, which compounds? This glucosinolates serve as natural defenders. Okay. These glucosinolates are natural defenders. Why are they natural defenders? Because they are those are the compounds which are protecting the plants from pests and diseases. That is the reason why they are called natural defenders. And in comparison to canola seeds, there is another seed variety from which oil is extracted, that is canola seeds. And these canola seeds will be having fewer glucosinolates, around 30 ppm. There it is 120 to 130 ppm. Here it is just 30 ppm. Okay. So these lower levels let the canola oil and meal have a specific pleasant taste, whereas mustard oil is not pleasant tasting, or it is not pleasant smelling. Okay. And oil seeds eat oil for cooking, and their leftover meal, okay, after the oil is extracted, the leftover meal will be rich in protein. Okay, and this protein rich meal can be used for animal feed. Okay, and it is used as animal feed. Rapeseed meal, which is rich in glucosinolate, is fed to livestock, but it requires mixing with grass and water. Okay, these are basic details, but this point is important. Okay, it is used as animal feed, and then it also has higher amount of glucosinolate. So higher amount of glucosinolate and it being used as an animal feed is having an effect, that is high glucosinolates are known to cause goiter. What is goiter? Goiter is a disease which causes swelling of neck. Okay, so the swelling of neck happens, and also other internal organ abnormalities happen in livestock when they consume large amount of these meal which has higher amount of glucosinolate. So glucosinolate have a negative impact. Higher amount of glucosinolate have a negative impact on these animals, these livestock. And then scientists have been working on the goal to develop mustard seeds that have fewer glucosinolate, as we saw in the first slide. And which seed are they taking as a reference here? They are taking canola seeds as a reference because it is the one which has lower level of glucosinolate. Okay. However, reducing glucosinolate in mustard seeds can weaken the plant's overall ability to defend itself from the pest and disease. We already saw that these glucosinolates are natural defenders, but when we are going to reduce the amount of glucosinolate, then there are chances that its ability to defend itself against pest and other diseases will be hampered. Okay, so this might pose a challenge to it. How are we going to address this challenge? That we need to understand. And what is the role of genetic editing or gene editing in mustard breeding? Okay, so scientists directed their efforts towards modifying specific genes known as glucosinolate transporter gene. Glucosinolate transporter gene. So this particular gene is the gene which is responsible for production of glucosinolate, and they are going to modify or edit this particular gene. How are they going to do it? To achieve this modification, they employed a genetic tool called as CRISPR-Cas9, which we already discussed, and it works like a precision scissors to alter genetic sequence very accurately. And in particular mustard variety, there is a particular mustard variety called Varuna mustard variety. This can also be asked as a question. Varuna is a type of what? It is a mustard variety. Okay, so researchers focused on 10 out of 12 GTR gene. What is GTR gene here? Glucosinolate transporter gene is GTR gene. There are 12 GTR gene, and of those 10 are being edited, are being focused. Okay, through these genetic modification, they deactivated the protein produced by these genes. What is the protein here? That glucosinolate, and resulting in a significant reduction in the amount of glucosinolates. Okay, so this is how they are going to do it. But how is it done? What is the process? Before that, we need to understand what is the difference between gene editing and gene modification. Okay, one basic difference is there. Okay, the GTR gene edited mustard lines are the result of genome editing and not gene modification. So the process that we are doing here now is gene editing and not gene modification. So what is the basic difference? Here it is. Gene modification means it focuses on modifying the genes that already exist. Sorry, gene editing means it focuses on modifying genes that already exist without adding a new genetic material, whereas gene modification means a foreign gene is introduced. Okay, the best example for this is Bt cotton and then DMH11. Bt cotton, Bacillus thuringiensis, cotton, and then DMH11, it is again a GM hybrid mustard. Okay, so in these two varieties, a foreign gene is added to it. Then it becomes genetic modification. Okay, whereas here in this process, which we are discussing, here we are doing genetic editing or gene editing, where no addition of genetic material happens, only the existing gene is altered. Okay, so this is the basic difference and minute difference which you must have to understand. And the recently developed mustard lines are completely free of transgenes and do not pose any foreign gene, as we discussed. Okay. Next, what is the status of mustard cultivation in India? Mustard is India's most widely cultivated oil seeds crop, and it is planted annually on 9 million hectare areas, and it is grown in Rabi season. What is Rabi season here? Winter season. Okay, and its higher average oil extractable content, that is 38%, which is very high. Okay, it makes mustard a good oil seed crop, and then it is also a source of fat for human beings in the form of oil, and it also acts as a source of protein for animals, okay, for cattle. Okay, next, mustard is an important cash crop for farmers of the states of Rajasthan, Haryana, Madhya Pradesh and Uttar Pradesh. Okay, so all these details are important. You can use these points directly in your answer writing if there is a question about mustard. Next, CRISPR-Cas9. We already saw CRISPR-Cas9 is a gene editing tool. How is it going to work and what is its background? Those details we need to understand. What is CRISPR? What is the full form of CRISPR? Clustered, regularly interspaced, short palindromic sequence. So it is actually a sequence of genome called as clustered, regularly interspaced, short palindromic sequence. And in this CRISPR-Cas9, this Cas9 is actually an enzyme. Okay, so it is a genome editing tool which is simpler, faster, cheaper and more versatile and more accurate than the previous techniques that were there. And then it was developed by Emmanuel Carpentier of France and then Jennifer Doudna of USA. They both won Nobel Prize in 2020 for developing this CRISPR-Cas9. And this point is also important. This was the first time a Nobel Science Prize has gone to a women-only team. Okay, so these details are to be known. Next, what is the background of the inspiration for this CRISPR-Cas9? Actually, there are bacteria and there are bacteriophages. What are bacteriophages here? Bacteriophages are actually viruses that feed on bacteria. So bacteriophages are like enemies of bacteria. Okay, so bacteria is there, and when it is going to get affected by this bacteriophage viruses, then they will remember the attack. Okay, and that reminder of various bacteriophages attack is called as CRISPR. Okay, so that CRISPR is actually a DNA sequence which acts as a reminder of various bacteriophages attack that the bacteria has successfully defended against. Okay, so it is like a defense mechanism of bacteria. This CRISPR is actually a gene sequence which acts like a defense mechanism, a memory of defense mechanism. Okay, and there is Cas9 enzyme. What is Cas9 enzyme? It is a part of bacteria's defense mechanism and it uses flags to precisely target and cut any foreign DNA. So if there is going to be an encounter of any foreign DNA, this Cas9 enzyme will be produced and it is produced from this CRISPR sequence only. Okay, so this Cas9 enzyme will be produced, and then it will act as a scissor, and then it will cut the foreign DNA out. Okay, so the foreign DNA is cut, and then it will protect the bacteria from any future attacks by similar bacteriophages. Okay, so it is just like a defense mechanism. So we are going to make use of the defense mechanism of bacteria, and then we are going to apply it to humans and other organisms for genetic gene editing or genome editing. So the first task is to identify particular sequence of gene which is the cause of problem. So how does this work, that we need to understand. The first step is to find it where it is. Okay, we are identifying it, and once this is done, there is an RNA molecule called guide RNA which is programmed to locate the sequence of the DNA strand, which is again important. Okay, so we need to know which sequence of gene is to be is problematic, and that gene has to be identified with the help of a guide RNA. So it is like a find and search function in a computer, and after we find this particular gene which is to be removed, then a special protein called Cas9. What is Cas9 here? CRISPR associated protein, that is CAS. Okay, CRISPR associated protein 9. Okay, which is often described as genetic scissor or molecular scissor. So Cas9 is also called as molecular scissor or genetic scissor, and it is used to break the DNA strand at specific point, and those specific points are found using these guide RNA. That is how it is linked. Okay, so that the bits of DNA then can be added or it can be removed. Okay, next, this point is very important. That's because a DNA strand, when broken, has a natural tendency to reattach and heal itself. This should not happen, because when there is auto repair mechanism, then it is like we are allowing it to continue with the batch sequence again. Okay, there are many possibilities that the batch sequence regrow again. So once after we have cut at the precise locations, then the scientist will intervene during this auto repair process by supplying the correct sequence of genetic codes. So this is called as gene editing. From one place, correct sequence is cut, and then it is placed at the wrong place where undesirable things are happening. Okay, next, the entire process is programmable and has a remarkable efficiency, though chances of error and not entirely ruled out. There are errors happening in this process, but then it has a remarkable efficiency. Which one? This CRISPR-Cas9 system. So if we have to understand this using a picture, this is how it will be there. We have to target the right gene, and then this Cas9 will get binded to this, and then it will cut the DNA where it has to be cut, and then repair and editing will happen in the DNA. So this is how the gene editing is going to happen. Okay, so it is yet another picture which is explaining the same concept. Okay, yes, I hope you understand the topic very well. The next topic for the day is Stockholm syndrome. What is this Stockholm syndrome? Why is it in the news? It is a very short topic, we'll understand it. It is actually a psychological phenomenon. Okay, so what is this Stockholm syndrome? It is a psychological phenomenon that occurs when a victim of abuse develop a positive feelings towards abusers, but a negative feeling towards authorities or anyone who tries to help them to escape from that situation. So it is a unique condition, right? So a victim is getting positive feeling towards abusers, but a negative feeling towards the one who is coming for their rescue. Okay, so this term was coined after a bank robbery which took place in Sweden, Stockholm, in the year 1973, where 4 hostages refused to testify against their captors, and then even they raised money for their defense. So from this only the term has been taken, Stockholm syndrome, the term has been taken. And this point is important. This syndrome is not a recognized mental disorder. Okay, so it is not a mental disorder, but it is just a coping up mechanism. Okay, so it is a coping mechanism that some people use to deal with a traumatic situation. okay, and it is not a mental disorder, and then it is thought to result from a combination of factors. This syndrome is a result of many factors like power imbalance, emotional isolation, gratitude for small kindnesses, and survival instinct. So there are some people who develop such feelings, such negative feelings for the one who is coming for their rescue, and positive feelings for the abusers. Okay, so they are the ones who have Stockholm syndrome. That is it with Stockholm syndrome. A simple question based on this may be asked. The next topic. The next topic is Eastern equine encephalitis. What is this Eastern equine encephalitis? It is actually a viral disease, and how is it caused, how it is spread, we have to understand. So mosquito-borne illness or mosquito-borne disease are happening worldwide. Okay, so mosquito-borne illness is spreading and it is posing a significant threat to human beings. And then now there is a latest addition to a mosquito-borne disease called Eastern equine encephalitis, which is spreading in huge amount. I mean, it is spreading in a rapid manner in United States, and it has been reported in Alabama and New York in United States. Okay, and then this Eastern equine encephalitis is a viral disease. Okay, it is spread through mosquito, but it is a viral disease. Okay, and then it causes inflammation of brain. Okay, so brain is also called as encephalon. Encephalon means brain. So encephalitis means there is inflammation of brain. Okay, and then it spreads to people and animal by the bite of an infected mosquito. And first it was identified in horses in United States in the year 1831. Okay, so it was identified in horses. That point is also important. There is a link between the horse getting affected and humans getting affected. Let us understand that. So the virus and its transmission, it is coming under genus alpha virus and family Togaviridae, and then it is a single stranded RNA virus, which is again important, and it is primarily transmitted through the bite of infected mosquitoes, but it is not spread between humans. One human, I mean, it is not contagious. Other than that, from animal to humans is also not possible. Thus, it is also not a zoonotic disease. Okay, so it is not spread from an animal to human, and it is also not spread among humans. So it is not contagious and it is not zoonotic disease, but it is spread through the bite of infected mosquitoes. And then, what are the symptoms? I mean, it has symptoms like high fever, headache, chills, and nausea, and in advanced conditions, severe symptoms like seizures, disorientation, and even coma might happen. Okay. Next, what is its effect? 33% of individuals who are infected do not survive, which means it is a lethal disease, and typically passing away between 2 to 10 days after the symptoms first appear. So it is very dangerous, and even if the rest of the people, that is nearly 60% of the people, 65% of the people, if they are going to survive, then the virus might experience, the people might experience long-lasting neurological issues in their lifetime. And if the people at the age above 50 and below 15 are getting affected, then they will face this problem for sure. Okay, it is long-lasting neurological disorders. Next, what is the treatment that we have for this particular disease? There is no vaccine available directly now. Okay, so to treat this particular disease, but for mitigation, we have to keep away from mosquitoes, like avoiding mosquito bites by using repellents and wearing protective clothing. So these are the measures which we can take to avoid getting infected by these disease. Okay, Eastern equine encephalitis. Yes, the next topic for the day is Hubble Space Telescope. Hubble Space Telescope captures image of irregular galaxy. Okay, so What is this Hubble Space Telescope and what is the characteristic of irregular galaxy and how far is this irregular galaxy located and how are we going to measure the length of, the distance of this galaxy? All those details we must have to understand. First thing is, Hubble Space Telescope captures image of irregular galaxy, and this space telescope has captured the galaxy known as ESO 360, okay, and it is located at a distance of 2.8 million light years. So light year is a measure of distance, okay, so 2.8 million light years, okay. And what is an irregular galaxy? Those galaxies which do not have a clearly defined shape and appear as a diffuse clouds is called as irregular galaxy, and it has an important feature called a bubble of bright and blue gas is visible towards the galaxy core. Okay, such galaxies are called as irregular galaxies, and this ESO 316 was captured as a part of a campaign called as Every Known Nearby Galaxy. Okay, so it is a campaign conducted by this Hubble Space Telescope. So what is the significance of this campaign? Its aim is to create a complete inventory of Hubble images of all galaxies within 10 megaparsecs. So what is parsec here? It is again a measure of distance. Okay, so 10 megaparsec of the Earth, and then or 32.6 million light years. So we need to understand what are these measurements like light years and parsec. What is 1 light year? 1 light year is 9.46 into 10 power 12 kilometers or 10 power 15 meters. Okay, so 9.46 into 10 power 15 meters, and then here in parsec, 1 parsec is 3.08 into 10 power 16 meters. Okay, so parsec is a larger measure. Okay, so how are these two related? 1 parsec and 1 light year. 1 parsec is equal to 3.26 light years or 30.9 trillion kilometers. Okay, in terms of light years it is 3.26, or in terms of kilometers it is 30.9 trillion kilometers. Okay, so a megaparsec means 1 million parsec is called as 1 megaparsec. So what is the campaign year? The campaign which the Hubble Space Telescope is conducting. The campaign is Every Known Nearby Galaxy. What is its objective? Its objective is to create a complete inventory of Hubble images of all galaxies within this range, that is within 10 megaparsec of Earth. Okay, so we saw what is parsec, what is megaparsec and all those details. So here I hope you will understand it better. Okay. Okay, so why are we going for this parsec calculation? Because even the distance that the light year travels in a year is not, that the light travels in a year is not convenient for measuring astronomical distances. Okay, that is called as light year. The light traveling in a year, okay, is 1 light year. Even that is not convenient for measuring astronomical distance. That is why we are going for parsec, and this is how parsec and light year is related, and 1 megaparsec is 1 million parsec. Okay, so all these details are important. I hope you found this session to be useful and informative. Let us see in the next session. Thank you.